3 words that almost ruined my vacation. Where's my passport? Standing at the gate in Phoenix, my boarding group being called, and that sinking realization that my cute little travel wallet had vanished into thin air. Travel mistakes have this funny way of teaching you lessons you never forget. After decades of flying and making just about every embarrassing error possible, I've learned that the most innocent-looking decisions can create the biggest problems. But here's the thing. Once you know what to watch out for, these disasters become completely avoidable. I'm going to walk you through 12 mistakes that cost me time, money, and more than a few stressful moments. But instead of just telling you what not to do, I want to share the stories behind these lessons, because sometimes the best way to learn is through other people's misfortunes. Mistake number 1. The Great Disappearing Wallet Act. Picture me at Phoenix Sky Harbor, feeling incredibly organized with everything important tucked into this adorable little leather wallet. Passport, boarding pass, emergency cash, all in one tidy package. I'm practically patting myself on the back for being so prepared. Then comes that moment every traveler dreads. Standing at the gate, reaching for my boarding pass, and nothing. Empty pocket. That confident, organized feeling, gone faster than my wallet. 20 minutes of retracing steps, checking every surface I'd touched, even asking strangers if they'd seen a small brown wallet. The gate agent is making final boarding announcements, and I'm having a full panic attack in the middle of the terminal. Here's what nobody warns you about those tiny travel pouches. They're engineered to disappear. Too small to notice when they slip out, light enough to go undetected, and they scream valuable documents inside to anyone watching. The aftermath was brutal. $200 for an emergency passport, rebooking fees, missed connections. All because I thought consolidating everything into one tiny package was smart organization. What changed my approach completely was switching to a money belt under my clothes. Boring? Absolutely. But I haven't lost a passport since, and that peace of mind is worth looking like a tourist. Mistake number 2. The check-in gamble that backfired. I'll just handle check-in at the airport like I always do. Famous last words that cost me an entire vacation day in Denver. Walking up to the counter 2 hours early, feeling smug about my punctuality, when the agent drops this bomb. We're overbooked today, and since you don't have a confirmed seat assignment, we'll need to put you on the next available flight. My brain cannot process this. But I bought this ticket 2 months ago. That's when I learned the cruel truth. Buying a ticket doesn't guarantee you a seat if you don't actually check in and claim it. Airlines overbook deliberately, betting that some people won't show up. When everyone does show up, guess who gets the boot? People like me who thought showing up early was enough. The domino effect was spectacular. Missed flight led to hotel change fees, restaurant reservation cancellations, and spending my first vacation day in an airport instead of exploring a new city. The fix was embarrassingly simple. Set a phone reminder for exactly 24 hours before departure and check in the minute it opens. This tiny habit change has saved me from several potential bumping situations since then. Mistake number 3. The midnight packing panic. 11 p.m., night before a family trip, feeling pretty smug about fitting everything into one suitcase. Time for the moment of truth, the bathroom scale test. The number appears, 4 pounds over the limit. What followed was a scene that would make Marie Kondo weep. Clothes scattered across every surface. Me standing in my underwear at midnight, weighing individual items and having emotional debates with myself. Do I really need 3 pairs of shoes? What about this full-size shampoo bottle? The truly maddening part was realizing that if I'd weighed my empty suitcase first, I could have packed strategically instead of playing this guessing game. That innocent-looking shampoo bottle, 2.5 pounds of liquid I could buy anywhere for less than the overweight fee. Standing there in my disaster of a bathroom, calculator in hand, trying to redistribute weight between family members' bags, I had an epiphany about how airlines make their money. They're banking on people like me making these last-minute discoveries. The solution transformed my entire packing process. Weigh the empty bag first, then pack with intention. Travel size everything, and buy replacements at the destination if needed. What seemed like extra work actually made packing simpler and stress-free. Mistake number 4. Seat selection roulette. 6 hours. That's how long I spent in what I genuinely believed was airline seat purgatory. Seat 31F, which looked perfectly innocent on the booking website. Reality check. No recline. positioned directly next to the galley where flight attendants spent the entire flight clanging dishes and having loud conversations, plus a blast of Arctic air from a poorly positioned air vent. I'm watching other passengers sleep peacefully while I'm wrapped in every piece of clothing I packed, unable to lean back even an inch, and serenaded by the constant soundtrack of meal service preparation. Here's the kicker. Seat 15F on the same plane would have been a completely normal experience. Same price, same type of seat, but the difference between comfort and torture was simply knowing which rows to avoid. That miserable flight introduced me to Seat Guru, and suddenly I felt like I'd been given airline industry insider information. Seats with no recline, missing power outlets, proximity to bathrooms, all clearly marked and reviewed by actual passengers. The research habit this created pays dividends on every flight. 5 minutes of homework can mean the difference between arriving refreshed or arriving miserable. Mistake number 5. The duty-free time warp. Amsterdam Schiphol Airport has what can only be described as a retail wonderland designed by people who understand human psychology too well. What I thought would be a quick browse turned into an hour-long maze adventure that nearly cost me my connection. I remember looking at my watch, thinking I'd been shopping for maybe 15 minutes, when the reality hit. I'd been wandering through perfume counters and chocolate displays for close to an hour, and I had absolutely no idea how to get back to my gate. Airports engineer these retail areas like casinos. No clocks, confusing layouts, and sensory overload designed to make you lose track of time and location. They profit when you get lost in their shopping maze. What saves me every trip is a simple rule. Gate first, shopping second. Find my departure location, check the board, set a phone alarm, then explore if time allows. The shopping will always be there, but missing flights creates problems money can't quickly fix. Mistake number 6. The container size conspiracy. TSA agent holds up my expensive perfume bottle. Still had plenty left in it, definitely under the liquid limit. Sorry, the container is too large. I'm standing there arguing about airspace and liquid measurement while the line behind me grows longer and more impatient. Here's the secret they don't explain clearly. TSA agents can't see through bottles to measure actual liquid. They go by container size, period. That half-empty 4-ounce bottle with just a few sprays left? Into the confiscation bin it goes. Same thing happened with a shampoo bottle that was mostly empty. Didn't matter that it contained maybe an ounce of actual product. The bottle itself was too big. So goodbye expensive hair product. The rules are simple once you understand them, but the explanation most people get is incomplete. It's not about how much liquid you have, it's about the size of the container holding that liquid. My liquid strategy changed completely after these confiscations. Transfer everything into properly sized containers before leaving home, regardless of how much product you're actually carrying. Keep the liquid bag at the top of your carry-on for easy access. This small adjustment eliminated all my liquid-related TSA delays and saved me from losing more expensive products to the confiscation bin. Mistake number 7. The Lemming migration to security. Following crowds is usually a safe bet, except when it comes to airport security. I used to see the longest line and just assume that was my fate. Join the herd, wait my turn, accept the delay as part of flying. Dallas-Fort Worth taught me otherwise. Running late, desperately scanning the area, when I noticed something that changed my entire approach to security. Multiple checkpoints, and the distribution of people was completely uneven. The checkpoint closest to the main entrance had maybe 50 people in line. The one 100 yards down the terminal? 5 people. Same TSA agents, same security screening, vastly different wait times. That 2-minute walk saved me 20 minutes of standing time. I felt like I'd discovered a travel hack that was hiding in plain sight. Most passengers never look beyond the first option they encounter. Airlines and airports benefit when people bunch up at popular checkpoints. More time in terminals means more spending in shops and restaurants. They're not motivated to direct you to faster alternatives. Scouting the entire security area before joining any line became my standard practice. The checkpoint farthest from the entrance is almost always the fastest option, and that brief extra walk pays massive dividends in time savings. Mistake number 8. The plastic wrap illusion. $15 to wrap my suitcase in plastic seemed like smart protection, until Miami TSA sliced through it like gift wrap and left me with shredded plastic hanging off my luggage. The revelation was embarrassing. I'd paid for security theater that lasted approximately 30 seconds when actual security needed to inspect my bag. Worse, if I needed to access anything during my trip, I'd have to destroy the wrap job myself. Watching other wrapped bags get the same treatment, I realized this service exists primarily to separate travelers from their money while providing virtually no actual benefit. The environmental waste aspect bothered me too. All that plastic for such a brief, pointless purpose. What actually protects luggage is a quality cover that's reusable and doesn't interfere with security procedures. Combined with TSA-approved locks, it provides real protection without the waste and expense of single-use plastic wrap. The marketing for luggage wrapping preys on security anxieties, but the reality is that it creates more problems than it solves while emptying your wallet for essentially no benefit. Mistake number 9. The Thai food gamble. That beautiful red curry at LAX looked like the perfect pre-flight meal. Aromatic, fresh, and way more appealing than another boring sandwich. What could go wrong with treating myself to something delicious before a long flight? 2 hours into the flight, I discovered exactly what could go wrong. Stomach churning, uncomfortable bloating, and the growing realization that I was trapped in a middle seat with nowhere to go and 5 more hours of flight time ahead. Cabin pressure amplifies digestive issues in ways I'd never considered. That rich, spicy meal that tasted amazing on the ground became hours of misery at 35,000 feet, where gas expands and every uncomfortable sensation gets magnified. My approach shifted to boring but reliable. Familiar foods, nothing too rich or spicy, and always packing stomach-settling snacks like ginger chews or crackers. It's not as exciting as culinary adventure, but I've never had another mid-flight digestive crisis. Mistake number 10. The afternoon turbulence lottery. Ladies and gentlemen, we're encountering some rough air due to thermal activity. Translation: this midday flight is about to feel like we're inside a blender for the next hour. Gripping the armrests, watching drinks slide across tray tables, wondering why this flight was so much rougher than my usual morning departures, I finally understood something about airline scheduling that no one had ever explained. Afternoon flights consistently hit worse turbulence because the sun heats the ground, creating rising air currents that toss planes around like toys. It's basic physics, but airlines don't advertise this when they're trying to fill those cheaper midday time slots. My travel patterns revealed the truth. Early morning flights were consistently smooth, late evening flights were calm, but anything between noon and 4 p.m. was a dice roll with uncomfortable odds. The pricing makes sense now, too. Afternoon flights cost less because the experience is objectively worse, but they don't explain why when you're booking. Mistake number 11. The Germ Factory Revelation. I used to worry about airplane bathrooms being unsanitary while completely ignoring the real bacteria farms. Those plastic security trays that hundreds of people use daily to hold their shoes, belts, and personal items. Watching the process with new awareness was alarming. Dirty shoes go in the tray, followed by phones, wallets, and other items people handle constantly. No cleaning between passengers, no sanitization, just a continuous cycle of shared surfaces. The connection between travel and getting sick became clear when I realized I was touching these trays with bare hands, then handling food, touching my face, and going about my day without considering the bacterial transfer. Research confirmed my suspicions. Airport security trays contain more germs than toilet seats, yet most travelers never think to clean them. It's like a petri dish that everyone shares without realizing it. Sanitizing wipes became essential travel gear. Quick wipe of the tray before use, clean hands immediately after security, and sanitize frequently touched items. My post-travel illness rate dropped dramatically with this simple adjustment. Mistake number 12. The jet lag time bomb. Landing in Amsterdam feeling like I'd been hit by a truck, stumbling through my first day in Europe like a zombie, wasting precious vacation time because my body had no idea what time it was supposed to be. I thought jet lag was just an inevitable price of international travel, something you endured until your body figured out the new schedule. 2 days of feeling awful, struggling to stay awake during dinner, wide awake at 3 a.m. staring at the ceiling. Then I learned about circadian rhythm preparation and realized I'd been approaching this completely wrong. Instead of shocking my body with an abrupt time change, I could ease the transition before leaving home. 3 days before my next international trip, I started shifting my sleep schedule 1 hour closer to the destination time each day. changed my watch before boarding, used light therapy to help the adjustment, and prepared my body instead of just hoping for the best. The difference was remarkable. Instead of days of adjustment, I felt reasonably normal within hours of landing. What seemed like magic was actually just working with my body's natural rhythms instead of against them. Business travelers who use this technique report significantly less jet lag and faster return to peak performance. It's free, it works, and yet most people never learn about it because airlines have no incentive to teach preparation techniques. The pattern in all these mistakes was the same. Small decisions that seemed logical in the moment but created much bigger problems later. What surprised me most was how simple most of the solutions turned out to be once I understood what was actually happening. Sometimes the best travel advice comes from learning what not to do the hard way. These 12 lessons cost me time, money, and more than a few stressful moments. But they transformed how I approach every aspect of flying. Which of these disasters sounds familiar to you? Have you discovered your own solutions to common travel problems? Drop a comment below. I read every single one and love hearing about what works for fellow travelers. If this saved you from making any of these same mistakes, please hit that like button and subscribe to Journey Tips for more practical travel insights. Share this with anyone who travels frequently. These lessons could save them from learning the hard way like I did. Thanks so much for watching. Safe travels, and I'll see you on the next Journey Tips.